Hi everyone, this is Straight from the Paws. I'm Beverly, and with me today is Denise. Denise is our foster coordinator. We have a lot of coordinators at Forever Paws. We ended up doing that years ago so that all these little different departments that we have would have a person in charge of them. So we ended up with a foster program and we put Denise in charge of them. So how many years have you done the foster coordinator job?
This will be our 6th year.
Wow, we've been doing it that long?
6 years.
So we have a lot of people that are fostering currently.
That's right.
And if you out there are interested in fostering, you could contact Denise by going to the website. Foster?
Yeah, it's foster@foreverpaws.com.
That's it. That's what I was trying to get out of my head fast enough, and it didn't come out with that. So foster@foreverpaws.com.
Correct.
Anybody out in the audience that's interested, you would go to that site and fill out an application. You can't
That's
do
right.
it on the site, right?
You can.
Or do you have to print it?
No, they can email it over.
Oh, email it, okay.
Yep, and I print it from there.
So a foster, let's start at the very beginning. What is a foster, Denise?
A foster is somebody who has temporary care of an animal for a variety of reasons. It can either be because they're too tiny to be in a busy shelter.
Like infants.
Infants. Kittens are the most common type of foster that we have, but also puppies and currently rabbits.
Currently, because I know we have infant rabbits.
That's right.
And if I can explain to our little audience out there, we had animal control bring in a bunch of rabbits. And the next day there was more rabbits.
That's right.
Then they went into foster, and then there were more rabbits.
Right, I called the foster and said, oh, I have a mama and 2 bunnies. Oh, okay, I've never done bunnies, but that's wonderful. I think by the time she got them, there were 4
bunnies.
There were 4 bunnies.
Yeah, so let's hope that's the end of the
I
bunny
know.
population.
Yeah.
And bunnies grow rapidly. So even though they're infants right now, by next week they're toddlers.
Yes.
And the week after that they're teenagers, and
Yes.
before you know it they're full-grown adults.
That's right.
And they have to be separated by male and female again. Otherwise the population will explode again. So we've been doing this foster program. I myself have been fostering, I think, for years. I started fostering when I first volunteered on Montauk Street. So that would put me at a long time ago.
A long time ago, and you are the challenge foster house.
That's right.
That
So
we
the
have.
challenge means an animal that nobody else wants to foster
Correct,
because of complications. I can give them an example. I had Molly, the cat that lost its eye. I had it with the eye that was, gross. We won't go into graphic details on that. We'll just say gross. And I was the one that transported it to the hospital. And I, believe it or not, I was taking a video of my cat on my lap on the way to the hospital due to the fact that I believe our director put up a GoFundMe. So because it was on a GoFundMe, we wanted people to know what they were donating for. And that was a challenge. So I made sure everybody saw what was happening to this cat and why it had to be in foster. And then I also took a lot of videos of during the recovery. And then we took the photos when it got adopted. So fostering a challenged animal like that, it does have a lot of rewards, but it also takes a lot of your time. Also, let's tell our audience out there, what does Forever Paws do for the fosters?
Well, we provide everything to the fosters. There is no financial obligation there. They can bring the fosters back they can bring the animals back to us to be seen by the vet. If there are any complications, all it is a phone call, and I normally call you to see what our next step would be. But the fosters are a special kind of person. After they're done and they've returned the animal and the animal goes for adoption, almost everyone thanks us for the opportunity, and I'm lonely, when are you going to have more animals? So we have a very dedicated bunch of fosters.
The problem with the fostering, and the problem that I see is twofold. One is waiting. We don't always have an animal that needs
Right.
foster care.
Right.
So you may have 25 families on your roster.
Yes.
and they don't have any animals in foster, so
Right.
they keep calling you.
Yes.
But we can't force an animal to go into foster care. We have to wait for a condition, and it's kitten, like we call it kitten season. There's no end to kitten season anymore. It used to be just a
That's
spring
right.
thing.
That's right.
There's no end to kitten season. So kittens are the most popular
Yes.
foster animal due to the
Yes.
fact that they find little baby strays or little baby kitties roaming the streets.
That's right.
Most of them are sick, very, very sick, emaciated, dirty, flea infested, and those are the ones that need emergency medical care and foster.
Correct.
And then there are the other animals that are shy. They don't want to be around people.
Yeah, so they need socializing.
They need socializing. They're afraid of the shelter.
Yes.
They don't want to be touched. We have a foster named Betty. She does well with those dogs. Most of the time it's a dog. And she does very well with those dogs. She keeps them, socializes them, and gets them ready to be adopted. So that's the first part of the twofold problem with fostering. It's waiting.
That's right.
We don't always have something that is a foster. And then the other problem, I call it foster failures.
Oh, yes.
We do have foster failures. So you can explain what is a foster failure?
That is just simply a person that falls in love with the animal that they have temporary care of, and they end up adopting the animal.
Most of the time, that's a single animal that they've had, correct?
Most of the time, but we've had, 2 adoptions. We even had somebody who adopted 2 siblings and then came back later and adopted the 3rd.
Oh, so they got all 3
They
of
got
the
all
siblings.
3 of the siblings.
So we had a situation where someone fostered 4 little puppies that came into the shelter and took the 4 puppies home and took care of them. And when it was time to let them go, refused to let them go because that person fell in love with one of the puppies. So that was tough because with the puppies, we already have pre-approved applicants.
Correct.
And let's say those 4 puppies have already been pre-approved and they're just in foster to grow up a little bit.
Right.
And when they came back to the shelter, the families are going to be there waiting. So a foster failure at that point in time is a very difficult thing to have to do because now you have a family already approved for puppy A and you don't want to let go of puppy A.
Correct.
And you took care of puppy A and made sure it was healthy and bottle fed and warm, and now you have to give it up. But there's already a family at the shelter waiting for puppy A.
That's right.
So that's where there's a little problem coming in with foster failures. So we do have to remind people, if you want to adopt one of the infants that you have or one of the sick ones that you have, you really need to start to let the shelter know ahead of time.
And fill out an application and
Ahead
wait
of time.
Ahead of time.
So this
And
doesn't happen.
That's right.
So
And
you
wait for
cry
the
your little
approval.
heart out
That's
because
right.
puppy A went to somebody else and you're home crying because you really wanted puppy A. The thing is, you got to let the staff know, let Ariana know ahead of time. But there are so many rewards with fostering, Denise. It's just, to me, I'm a foster, so I'm an adopter, I'm a volunteer. I do all those hats. When I foster, I have no problem ever letting them go because I'm always knowing that they're going
There's
to
gonna be
their
more.
forever home.
And-
I did almost have a foster failure, and it was little Petey Pluto. I will always mention Petey Pluto
Yep.
as my almost foster failure because that was a kitten I had with a litter of 5.
Right.
And Petey never grew. So all the kittens were getting adopted, and Petey was still a 1-pound little infant.
Yeah.
And I kept bringing him, I believe at the time it was called the Taunton Cat Hospital, and they had him listed as failure to thrive. And I was like still bottle feeding him, and he was like 2 months old. But eventually I let him go, and he did get adopted, and I did get a picture of him when he came into the shelter for his final vaccines, and he was a full-size cat.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does, but your heart breaks.
It does.
As a foster.
And the nice thing about it is they get so excited, the fosters get excited when they have luck or when they see the animal thriving.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many pictures I have of people who are just snapping pictures of their little fosters, videos of them playing, and they're just elated.
When you see like a kitten like Petey Pluto, who did nothing but sleep,
Yep.
and a tiny little rat of a kitten, and all the others are running around playing, knocking him over. it's heartbreaking. So when all the other kittens were gone, and I finally see Petey playing, I'm doing videos and photos, and it's crazy. That's what you end up doing.
Yes. Yeah.
There's another part of fostering, though, that people have got to be aware of, and that's when the foster animal doesn't make it.
Yes.
And that happens frequently,
It
too.
does, especially with very tiny kittens.
Correct.
We've had a little bit of a challenge this past year. However, the fosters give it their all, and when that happens, they feel so guilty, and we have to reassure them.
It's not them.
That it's not.
It's happened to me. I have a little graveyard in my backyard from all my fosters that didn't make it.
Right.
But that, you know, when I look at it, like when one of my fosters has passed, at least this animal did not die on the street.
That's right.
Did not get hit by a car, did not get eaten by a wild animal, did not shiver to death, freeze to death, or starve to death. In the short amount of time that I had it in a foster, it was warm, it was comfortable, and it was well taken care of and loved. So when we lose them, look, I'm going to cry.
Don't.
I know. So when we do lose them in foster, I want you to make sure that the fosters understand that.
Oh, yes.
That you've given it a stable environment for a short amount of time.
And we do, if we know that there is a chance of that happening.
Yeah, it is.
We do warn the foster. You know, if there is a problem, please give us a call.
Correct.
If anything happens, please don't blame yourself. This is a possibility.
And we've actually had you call me at like 11 o'clock at night,
Right.
where a foster felt one of the animals was crashing, and we immediately rushed them to the vet.
That's right.
We've done that. I mean, people think we're nuts because you're putting maybe $600, $700, $800 into an infant kitten, and then the vet says it didn't make it through the night. And we're putting out this money, but we feel, well, let's give this animal a chance.
That's right.
That's what Forever Paws does.
And that happened recently, and the kitten made it.
It did. Right, I remember that kitten too. Yes,
Yeah.
the kitten made it. And there's a side part of this that worries me a lot. It has happened to a couple of people that we know. I believe they're adopters. So you've had a kitten. I can pick on Petey Pluto because you know we know Petey Pluto. So Petey Pluto was with me months. I think 4 months, 4.5 months. I had Petey Pluto. We know he was a sick kitty. He did make it, and then he did get adopted. But in the future, because of that illness, maybe Petey lives 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and then he crashes in the adopter's home. And what we want to tell people is, after you've adopted an animal, you sign a document that says, you know, this is an animal of unknown origin. We don't know where it came from. We don't know what the future holds. And these things do happen, and it's not a fault.
Correct.
It happens. A lot of these sick babies that we put in foster care, they may even have birth defects, and we're not aware of it. You know, but a lot of these might have been pushed aside by the birth mom, and then someone finds a kitten all by itself. And in nature, that kitten would have been pushed aside to pass away naturally because the mother knew it wasn't going to make it. But we made it live, and now we adopted it out.
Right.
And that birth defect may affect that animal down the road.
We just had a whole pack of deformed kittens.
That's
that
right.
were all adopted.
That were all adopted. But we don't know in the future if those deformities could affect its life.
Correct.
But again, what I would tell the audience out there is that, all right, so you adopted, you took care of a kitten or a cat, and you had it for 5 months or 6 months. You gave it the best life it could have, and then we lost it. It's not a fault of anybody. It was a birth defect.
Yes.
But during that time, the kitten was loved, and it had a home, and it was warm, and it was fed, and that's nature.
Yes.
There's not a lot we can do about that. So that's the side of fostering that I think a lot of people have to be aware of. There's good, the bad, and then there's the ugly, where we lose them. But it's still a good life. I mean, we give them a wonderful chance at a life.
Yes, we do.
Well, thank you so much, Denise, for coming on. And
thank you.
I hope we didn't scare anybody away from fostering, but yes, please contact us at foreverpaws.com.
Correct.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. You have to come down to 300 Linwood Street and meet these kittens. We have so many right now, and we also have some in foster. We have them in all shapes and sizes, also in varying ages and colors, so anything you're looking for, we probably have the perfect match for you. All these guys vary from 9 weeks to 13 weeks old. They're all very friendly, they all get along well with each other, they love to play, they love to snuggle, they're everything you're looking for in a kitten. In my right hand here is Berlioz, he is a 13-week-old mix, and then in my left hand here is Cabernet, she is 9 weeks old. This is our oldest guy right here, he's 13 weeks old. We believe he is a Maine Coon mix of some sort. He is currently available here at Forever Paws. If you're interested, you can come down and fill out an application for him or any one of these other guys you see down here. All of these kittens are very lovable and snuggly, so if you're interested, please come down and meet them.
Today with us we have Brielle. She is roughly about 5 years old. She's a cane corso. She is just about 100 pounds. Now, even though she's 5, she still has a very playful side to her. She loves to get the zoomies, she loves to run. So she would do good in like an inactive home. She does get along with other dogs. We don't have a background history with cats or children with her, so we're going to say no kids or children. For her, you would need to ideally have experience with large breeds and also own your own home. She is very playful, she gets very excitable, but when it is time to relax, she's one too, as long as the couch is big enough, she'll curl up on the couch with you. She's very happy-go-lucky, has a lot of love to give. If you want to come down and meet Brielle, you can call Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Brielle would love to meet you.
Welcome everyone to Straight from the Paws. Today we have with us again Denise Lopes, but she's in another capacity today. She wears a different hat. I don't know if everyone mentioned that you also are a board member as well. Did we mention that?
I don't know.
Well, you are a board member. You've been with a board member for a while with us, and you are the what do you do? You're the foster coordinator, and today we're going to talk about membership. Okay, so what does membership mean to someone that wants to join Forever Paws?
Membership is a group of people who have added additional support to the shelter through the membership. They in turn get 10% off of our annual event tickets, also 10% off of adoptions, and they get a membership card as well as a really nice sticker for the back of their car indicating that they are members of Forever Paws.
And a lot of people have joined. How many members do we have approximately? 400. 400, so that's not bad. That's a good amount of people. And if people wanted to get on that mailing list, how could they get in touch with you to do that?
They could contact me through the website, Forever Paws website. Okay. They also can call the shelter and somebody will give me that message. Okay. But we do have a mailing that is going to be coming out sometime in late May, early June. And you can submit the bottom portion of that letter with your information. We do accept checks and also ask that you add your phone number, address, and email.
Yeah, and I think that some people say, oh, well, why my email? I'm giving you my address. But the important part about the email is that Ariana and I do a quarterly newsletter. So as a member, you may want to know more about what's going on at Forever Paws. We just put out our spring newsletter. I do a spotlight on either a volunteer or someone in the shelter. This time it was Ariana. And then I do a letter from the president. And then Ariana does something about the animals, a spotlight on the animal or what's going on. And she gave information, because it's kitten season and, rabies and all that stuff going on. So we try to do that. And we do it quarterly. So when you give us your email, then you also receive that through Constant Contact.
That's right.
And I must say, I think we've talked about doing this in the past, and so far Ariana and I think have been doing it for almost 2 years now, and we do it quarterly, and I think it gives you more information what's going on.
That's right.
And we need a lot of support, the shelter.
Yes, we do.
400 sounds like a lot, but we'd like to see that go up to 500 this time around.
Right.
And, you know, and some people say, oh, don't worry about the 10%, you know, when it comes to the adoption, whatever. They say, you know, not a big deal. But we want, and just the notoriety of having that sticker on a car. You know, I love when I drive in the city or somewhere and I see the sticker, and I'm like, wow.
Get
look
excited.
Yeah, I get excited. I really do. I get excited. And I think that's important for people to understand that we have, you know, we're proud of who we are, and we continue to work within the community, and we're really community oriented based. And so, and it doesn't matter if you, well, our local audience would only be here, but we do get membership from people that, you know, moved to maybe to California and knew about the city and about the shelter and lived here before, and so they'll get back to us. So it doesn't matter where you live. If you have a relative, if you want to, you know, you don't know what to get grandma or auntie for a birthday present or Mother's Day, that might be a nice little gift.
Absolutely, that's a good
You
thought.
know, just, you know, get them a membership to Forever Paws, and then they continue being members, especially if they're, you know, they're animal lovers, I think, and if they've got a dog or animal from our shelter. I think that's important. And I also, Denise, you know, I know you also work with the foster, and you work with the membership, but exactly what's the most prevalent thing that you do for the shelter that you think is important?
The fostering program, I think, is so rewarding. When you see the littles go out to the foster care, and then they come back and they're playing and they're vibrant, and they've been cared for and they're loving, because that socialization in a private home, a calm private home, is paramount to the personality development in the animals.
As a foster parent, I'd like to say that it can be very detrimental. This last group of little puppies that we had, I was heartbroken, and I did not adopt one of the little puppies, and it took me a while to get over it. And I said to you, no more, don't call me for puppies.
But that happens to you a lot.
It does. It does. I do fall for them, and then sometimes, you know, say, well, what? But, you know, once I see them adopted into a good home, and, you know, they send pictures and stuff, and then you say, well, that's a really good feeling. So I agree with you. It is good, but this last one was tough for me.
Yeah.
So I've got to learn to, you know, move a little bit, take a little bit of breather on this one. But we do always need the fosters, and that,
Yes,
and
we do.
that's really important. And the membership is important. We've talked about membership for many years, and we never seem to get it coordinated. You know, we start it and then we'd forget about it. We come up with great ideas. Oh, we're going to get tote bags. We're going to do this. We're going to do like the, you know, all the big organizations, you know, MSPCA, and we can't afford to do that.
No, they have a
lots
lot
of
of money coming
Yeah,
in.
they have a lot more money than we do. So,
That's
you
right.
know, I think the way we're doing it on a smaller scale, I think it's great. I appreciate you doing that, taking that on, because I know it's just another, you know, thing. When, you know, we asked you to join the board, I always told you it's only one meeting a month. And
That's all.
That's all it is one meeting a month, and now it's every other month. So, you know, I mean, I'm not
right.
asking too much, but then, you know, I like to give, as you know, I like to give people titles. And I think titles are important. I think because, you know, when we go to those MAC meetings, and you've gone with Bev and I a couple of times, and we go to those Massachusetts Animal Coalition meetings, and these other groups, these other shelters are talking about, oh, I've got this going on, and I've got, you know, in our human resource department and our other department, and we're sitting there like, oh, I said, well, I have a volunteer coordinator, and I have an outreach coordinator, and I have a membership coordinator, and you know, and we're up there, and we're doing all we have to do.
They're all volunteer.
They're all volunteers. We all volunteer. We're not getting paid like these big organizations, and it's a labor of love.
Yes, it is.
It is a labor of love.
Yes, it is.
And one of our staff members just had a birthday, and her daughter contacted me, and we got invited to her party. It was a surprise party. Her daughters from out of state came in and all that. It was very, very nice. And she said to me the next, yesterday at work, she said, you know, Gail, she said, it was very important to me to have you guys there. She said, it meant a lot to me. She said, because this is like a family.
It is.
She said, we don't go out and socialize sometimes and all that, but we know that if I need something, if I pick up the phone, someone from the shelter will be there. And I think that's what we've become. We've become a team, but we also became a family. And when need be, we all help each other.
I was out for a while because of hip surgery, and the cards and letters and calls and emails was a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was, yes, we are a family.
We do care about each other, and we want people to join us. We want people to come in and you know, get involved with us again, and you know, Denise and even her husband, you know, he helps us for his for our Christmas trees or anything that we need. If we need to do you've done some transports with your husband as well, and that's what it is. It becomes a family. I think a family issue, and I think people have to understand that. So the membership is a very small part of it.
That's right.
But you're a member of a special elite club, as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
You know, it's a very unique organization, and again, we're not like other places, and we hold our own against them. When we go to MAC, they keep inviting Ariana as a guest speaker because we do so well in our organization. And you know, this past month, February, we had 79 dogs adopted. You know, animals, I shouldn't say dogs, adopted. We keep going on and on. So I want to thank you for doing the membership. I want to thank you for all that you do for the shelter. And most of all, I want to thank you for being part of our family
Thank you.
and
I
our
love
friend.
it.
Because I think, you know, we do a lot, but we love doing it. You
Yes.
know, we're not retired. We've just taken a look at our professions and turned around. She went from being a pharmacist to doing all these things, wearing all these hats. And, you know, I went from being an educator to doing what I'm doing today. And can be tiring.
It keeps us young, though.
But it keeps us young. And it keeps us beautiful and inspired.
Okay. Oh, yes.
So thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate it.